Once you have your lighting system fully set up, this Grow Guide will help you maintain proper indoor gardening. This guide is meant to be just that, a guide. There are so many different ways to grow plants indoors that we can't begin to touch base on all of them. However, if you want a simple, straightforward, and beginner information, then this guide is worth watching. When your power plant lighting kit or LED array is set up, you can proceed with optimizing your artificial sunlight. For most gardens, the rule of thumb is 40 to 50 watts per square foot for HID lighting systems, or 15 to 25 watts per square foot for LED systems. For example, if you have a 400 watt lighting kit, your garden below should be around 8 square feet. If you keep it at 50 watts per square foot, you'll be maximizing your light to its best potential, whereas at 20 watts per square foot, your plant may stretch towards the light. With a 400 watt kit, you'll want to keep your reflector around 8 to 16 inches from the canopy of your plants. When operating a 600 watt system, you should keep your reflector 10 to 18 inches away from the top of your plants. You may try to get your reflector closer since the glass tube is cool to the touch with a 400 watt bulb, but if you notice browning or burning of your plant leaves, please move the reflector upwards. LED systems, on the other hand, produce virtually no heat and can be placed almost directly on top of your plants with no side effects. Your kit includes both metal halide and high-pressure sodium bulbs. The metal halide bulb is used for the vegetative growth stage. This stage refers to from when a plant is a seed until it starts to flower and shows signs of its sex. The metal halide bulb mimics the blue spectrum of sunlight from a typical summer's day. This ensures the most rapid growth for growing leaves in a thick stem. Once your plant has reached the desired height, you can start the flowering cycle by changing to the high-pressure sodium bulb. This light bulb has more red spectrum of light, which mimics a typical fall day. This helps tell the plant the spectrum of light is changing, and it's changing from summer to winter. The plant hurries up and starts to produce flowers before it becomes too cold. This is a common trick used to force plants to flower earlier than they normally would outside. Both bulbs can be used for either growth stage, however you'll receive maximum results by following the guidelines I just covered. LED systems have a mix of both blue and red spectrums for ideal growth through both plant phases. During the vegetative stage, you should have your light on for 18 to 24 hours a day. I personally prefer 24 hours of light since it usually shaves a few days off of the overall switch to the flowering phase. You can, however, use 18 hours of light per day with great results if you wish to save on the power a little bit. During the flowering stage, you should absolutely switch to 12 hours of light per day, or your plants will usually grow too big to manage indoors. This can be done easily by setting the light timer to 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness as described in the setup video. Never check your plants during the dark phase or you'll confuse your plants and cause delays in flowering. This is very important, and if you absolutely must check on your plants, use a flashlight with a green filter lens. Decide whether to go soil versus hydro. Keep the 30% rule in mind. If you grow hydroponically, you'll get 30% taller plants with 30% more weight and in 30% less time minimum versus growing in soil. This is mainly because more energy is spent growing roots in soil, whereas in hydroponics all that energy goes towards leaves and fruit. Personally, I think growing hydroponics is much easier than soil with a basic system. Growing in soil is nice if you want a big buffer of air. Soil is more forgiving on harsh pH and overfeeding conditions than hydroponics. Soil also tends to carry a great deal more insects and diseases than a soilless system. In addition, with hydroponics, you never have to worry about overwatering. The key to a hydroponic system is plenty of water recirculation and high oxygen levels. The simplest hydroponic systems is a bucket of water with an air stone bubbling in the water. You can get a bucket, air stone, air pump, and tubing for under $20. It's simple, cheap, and it works. Okay, there's a lot to cover, and this guide is meant to cover the basics. Most nutrient formulas come in Grow and Bloom. Follow the directions on the bottle and you should be all set in your growth and bloom stages. Be sure to empty your water reservoir when switching from one to another. For most adult plants, you want your nutrient levels to be at anywhere between 14 to 1600 ppm. You can test your nutrient levels by purchasing a total dissolved solid meter. You can also guess based on the directions on the bottle. Remember, it's always better to go with too little nutrients versus too much and risk frying your plants. pH is a measure of how acidic or basic your water is, just like testing a pool. When it comes to pH, try to keep your level around 6.5 for most tomato-type vegetables. Achieving proper levels for all the items listed above will greatly determine how well your plants grow. If your plants are lacking in any one of the above areas, your plants will suffer. Assuming you follow all the directions thus far, your only question should be,